welcome to my channel. My name's Angela and this is Devon Threadtails. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I thought I would do a little bit of a catch up and let you know where I've been, what I've been up to and why I haven't been sharing any YouTube videos of late, or Instagram particularly, or anything like that. So I wanted to do this because I felt like it would be really nice to sort of have a chat with you, get back in contact with you, and I have had quite a few messages which I haven't had a chance to respond to yet, but I've seen sort of popping up on my phone asking me if I'm okay, and I just wanted to let everybody know that I am okay, but I've had to take a little bit of time out from doing things for lots of reasons. So this is going to be a very chatty video. I hope that's okay. So if you want to go and get yourself a cuppa, pause me now and come back in a moment. So first things first, just in case I forget, I will tell you what I'm wearing. I am wearing a Grey 9 Studio Scout tee. It's made out of a viscose fabric which I got from Hobbycraft, I think. It was just a very cheap viscose. I wanted to toile a dress, which I did toile in this fabric, and I had an amount left over. And the Grey 9 Studio Scout tee was a top that I also wanted to try, and as this fabric was quite inexpensive, I use this as my toile fabric. I actually talk about this a little bit more on one of my 1 week me mades that is coming out in a few weeks time. It's going to be my 1 week me made May, and telling you about whether or not I like it or not. I think I do, but I'm a little bit on the fence about it, but I'll talk more about it then, so I won't go into it now. So where have I been? What have I been up to? Now, I need to just be very, very honest with you. I haven't been myself. I've been a little bit blue and a little bit down. I've had a lot of things on my plate, nothing serious, nothing awful. Before Christmas, my husband was quite poorly for some time, which I will say it is nothing serious. A couple of things were not great at the time, but they've kind of been resolved. Then there was Christmas and everything was very busy, and then I was training for the marathon, and then I was getting lots of pain and things were happening which were very uncomfortable, which was making me nervous because I thought, I don't know if I can do the marathon. And then it got to a point where it was so painful I had to go and get myself checked out by the doctor. Now I have I put up a post on my Instagram and on my YouTube community channel to let everybody know that I wasn't running the marathon, and apologising because obviously I talked about it a lot, but unfortunately I have arthritis in both of my knees, and I didn't know that, and that's why I was getting so much pain, and my doctor basically said to me, you'd be really silly to keep going and doing this, and for your longevity of your health and your joints, you should stop now. Not to say that you can't run in the future, but that you're not going to be able to do it. You know, you're not going to be able to do a marathon, and you know, you need to give your body a bit of a rest for a moment. So that was actually really devastating that happened. If anybody's been following me for a while, you know that I really quite like sports and things, but what happened was, instead of just not running, I stopped doing everything, and I think physical exercise is a bit of a happy pill for me, and it made me feel a little bit rubbish. We then had the Frocktails event that was happening, and that was absolutely fantastic, absolutely brilliant. I haven't got a bad word to say about that, but obviously it's quite stressful sort of organising that. And when I was at Frocktails, unfortunately, at what point I don't know, but I contracted COVID. So we had the Frocktails over the Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Monday I was just tired, but you know, all fine. Tuesday I was okay, and then I was, oh my gosh, I don't feel very well and I don't quite know what it is, and then boom, Thursday I was really poorly, and I was meant to be going to the Stitch Festival and seeing my daughter, so I was meant to be meeting up with a whole load of friends, sewing friends at the Stitch Festival, and then once the Stitch Festival's over I was going to go and meet my daughter who lives in London, and something was telling me that something wasn't quite right. And even though sometimes if you have a cold, you know, sleep it off and you'll be all right the next day, my daughter does a lot of house calls in the community because she works, you know, she's medical professional, and she goes out and about seeing people in their homes. She's a speech and language therapist, and she said, look, I'd quite like it if you did a COVID test. And I was like, do you know, it hadn't even occurred to me. So I did a COVID test and it was positive, and I've never had it before, and boy was I poorly. I was so ill. So I missed the Stitch Festival, I missed seeing my friends, I missed seeing my daughter, and I lost lots of money because I'd spent money on trains and, you know, all sorts of things, or tickets for the Stitch Festival. My husband did say, well, in some ways you save money because you didn't go and spend money on fabric. But I was just so looking forward to going to a really big event and spending time with my friends that I hadn't been able to do at the Frocktails because of obviously organising it and being there and making sure everybody else was okay. I couldn't spend time with my friends particularly, so I thought the Stitch Festival would be a really good idea. So that was absolutely devastating. I was very, very poorly. And then after I got over all the major symptoms of COVID, like the very sore throat and all the rest of it, I just had about 3 or 4 weeks of absolute exhaustion like I've never felt before. Like I'd get up and think I was feeling better, and I'd get myself washed and dressed, and then that was so exhausting to just get myself washed and dressed. I had to go to bed again for a couple of hours, and I've never experienced anything like that in my life. And I have a new appreciation for people who go through any kind of thing like chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia and those sorts of conditions, because it must be really difficult. I've experienced it for 3 or 4 weeks, and I then got better. I can't imagine what it must be like to live with that. So I do have a newfound understanding and appreciation for anybody that goes through that. And because I wasn't feeling great beforehand and then having that, I'd just be really honest with you, I felt quite depressed. I felt quite low, felt really lackluster. I had no get up and go. My get up and go had gone. I wasn't exercising, I wasn't sewing, I basically wasn't doing anything. And I'm not trying to say this to get lots of sympathy, and I'm not trying to say it as any kind of an excuse or anything like that. I just want to be really honest, because I feel like I am always quite honest with my viewers, and that's what's happened. We have also, my husband and I, before all of this was going on, had decided we were going to do lots and lots of decorating. And then when you're feeling like that and your house is absolutely upside down because you're doing decorating and reconstructing things and bits and pieces like that, that doesn't help the situation, I will say. And I've had moments where my sewing room has been completely rammed full of stuff, and then it's been empty and I've been able to sew a couple of bits, and then it's been rammed full again, and that's the situation that it is in at the moment. I can't even get in there at the moment. So it's all a little bit all over the place. And so my sewing has been very sporadic, so I haven't really been able to share anything with you like a Friday sews or anything like that. But I have made a few odd bits over time, and I will be at some point sharing a makes video with you, because I'd like to share my makes with you. So one of the other things that we've been doing, like I say, is decorating, and we've had a little bit of a rethink of different scenarios upstairs. Our situation has very much changed in that my daughters now don't live at home, and I think possibly that's been a little bit of something that's been going on with us. My daughters have all left home now, and I think I've definitely had empty nest syndrome. It was kind of still filled a little bit because I had my dogs, and then unfortunately we lost both of our dogs within a space of 12 months, and it was absolutely devastating and really awful. And I think it was after that I suddenly went, the house is really empty. It feels really weird. We haven't rushed out and got another dog. We're not doing that for the moment. We can't see ourselves doing that just yet. But yeah, it's a strange scenario. Anyway, I digressed then, didn't I? So we decided that we were going to reconfigure the rooms a little bit so that when the girls came home, there was a bit more of a guest bedroom kind of feel, but that the rooms were then usable for ourselves when they weren't here, so that we could utilize the space better. And one of the things that we decided to do, and I'm not really sure when I agree to this, because now I'm seeing it as a bit of a problem, but obviously I did agree to it at some stage. that I would move my sewing room from my eldest daughter's room, which is Katie, to my youngest daughter's bedroom, which is the smallest bedroom in the house. I'm not sure I actually agree to this, but somehow or another, this is what's happened. And we are now at a stage where the room has furniture in it. It's not quite set up properly, but I thought I would show you what it's looking like so far. So this is the corridor leading up to, that's my bedroom in there, and that is what's going to be my new sewing room. As you can see, there's a few things outside of the room waiting to go in there. We've got no skirting boards, but we have this gorgeous flooring which my dear husband has very patiently fitted upstairs, so we're just waiting for skirting boards to go back on and decorate in the hallway. And this is what my sewing room is looking like at the moment. There is nothing in here other than the furniture. So I have got a lovely IKEA table, which I really like. I think it looks lovely and it goes really nicely with the flooring. I've got my cutting table, which at the moment is in front of the window, and I'm going to talk to you about that in a moment. And I have a lovely floor to ceiling wardrobe. Oh, hello. Floor to ceiling wardrobe that is just shelving at the moment. And that's going to have all of my fabric and bits and pieces like that. And that's another thing. I really want to try and reorganize my fabric and destash what I don't want and not bring into this sewing room things that I don't want. Now, one of the things that I am waiting on before I start loading all of my sewing stuff in here is that I think I've got this set up wrong. I think this is going to actually go under the table, but I need to do a few adjustments for it to actually fit in properly. And then my cutting table is going to sit here, and I'm going to have it set up and out on a permanent basis, because it will act as another piece of work station for me. I might get like an ironing mat and things like that, which will make, you know, doing my ironing when I'm sewing a little bit easier. And I can do my cutting on it. And if it's just there, when I do my cutting, because it's quite lightweight, I can just pull it out and then I can walk all the way around it instead of having to have it up against a wall. So that's how it's looking at the moment. So it's a little bit echoey in here at the moment. I look a little bit dark. Is it because I'm against the light of the window maybe? But I'm really pleased with how it's looking. And one of the things that I want to do, like I say, is put the table up against the window. I think that will work really well for light when I am using my sewing machine and my overlocker and all that kind of thing. Just to sit with that really lovely light coming in from the window is great. That said, it's never ever enough, and in the evening or on a very dark and gloomy horrible day, I always need to use my Serious Readers light. Now, I know you've heard me talk about these lots and lots before, and in the process of setting up this room, I need to think about where I'm going to have my light. I think I'm probably going to have it set up in this corner beside the cupboard here, and that's then going to be able to come down and be over the top of my shoulder when I'm working at the sewing machine. I love the lights. I'm not going to show you mine at the moment because unfortunately, because we're redecorating, and I will show you what was my sewing room in a moment, my lights are actually buried right at the back of the room and I can't get them out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some images up on the screen for you of the lights that you can get. They are absolutely fantastic. They aid me all the time, and I do use them for other things other than my sewing, but in particular, when I'm doing very close-up work or I'm unpicking in particular, I use them. If I'm using a dark fabric with really well matched thread, it's almost impossible to see, but you get that light shining right down on it, and it's absolutely fantastic. They have this amazing technology that they use, which is daylight wavelength technology, or daylight wavelength technology. I could never get it the right way round, but anyway. And it just is like a natural light, but it's like this beam of light which just works beautifully, and it's not sort of harsh on your eyes or unkind or anything like that, and it just works really, really lovely. Anyway, With serious readers and serious brands, they are offering a discount for my readers. I'm going to put the discount on the screen, and I'm also going to put up the code that you need to use. In the description of this video below, I'm also going to put all of the details and the link to their website so that you can go and have a little look. And the money off comes off any of their high definition range. So please do go and have a look. They are absolutely fantastic. I would not be without mine. Right, so this is the other end of the corridor. As my very lovely mop, you know, it's very glamorous, this YouTubing business, isn't it? So this is what was my sewing room. It was my daughter's bedroom. So that's the door which is actually attached to the room. That is the door which has come off somebody else's room. There's a mirror. There's a single bed in here. There's my daughter's cupboards and drawers, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to show you this, but I'm just gonna have to go for it. And then there is just a pile of stuff, and if I show you, so this is a combination of fabric and my daughter's contents of her room, and behind there's the sewing machine, an overlocker and cover stitch machine, and in there is all my other fabric and patterns and things like that. Now, I know you're probably thinking, why didn't you take your sewing stuff out of there and put it in there? But I just didn't want to empty everything into my sewing room willy-nilly. I want to do it really thoughtfully and have a process of going through and making sure I put the right things in, and I don't just fill it up with rubbish or things that I don't need anymore, which might be silly, I don't know. And when I am refilling it, I probably will video myself, and I'll do a little video on how I get it all set up. If you think that's something that you'd like to watch, obviously do let me know. So like I say, it's been a bit hectic sort of upstairs, plus, you know, all the things that I've described about going on over the last few weeks and months. And so doing YouTube videos and sewing they've been quite, I don't mean low down on my priority because that sounds really awful. I really love the sewing community, and I love the community that I've developed with my YouTube videos and the people that I connect with and talk to. I absolutely love it, and I love all of that. So it's not that it's not a priority in that respect, but just for my own sanity and my own health, I just had to take a little bit of a step back, and I really hope that you guys understand that. And I know how lovely you all are, and that you probably do understand that. So thank you for being patient. And if you still want me, I'll still keep making videos. Anyway, so moving forward, I realised that obviously I haven't put out any content for a while, but I have actually still been recording my 1 week me mades that I normally do. So I did one in March and one in April, and I'm recording one at the moment for May. Now, I did the March one and it was so poorly. Obviously, I didn't get around to doing it. And then I thought, oh, well, there's no point in putting that out now because it was then April. And I recorded an April one, and in the April one, I have said, oh, I'm not bothering to share that one now, but I have kept all of the videos, and I am going on holiday in a little while's time. I can't wait. I think it's something that is going to do my husband and I the absolute world of good. I think it's the break that we need. We haven't been away on a holiday for a little while, and I think it will really do us good just to be away and soak up some sun and have a little bit of, sort of rest time really, and come back revived. So I can't wait to do that. But obviously that's then prolonging even more videos that I am going to share with you. So I hope it's okay. I am actually going to share my 1 week me made March, April, and the one that I'm recording at the moment. I'm going to release those one a week over the next few weeks so that I have still got some content coming out and being shared for you. I really hope that that's okay and you don't mind, because obviously they're going to be a little bit out of date. And hopefully I haven't repeated much in what I've said today, in what I've put in those videos as well, but there might be a little bit of crossover, but I'm sure you'll be understanding. And then when I go on my holiday, which is in June, I will record a 1 week me made while I'm there and show you my holiday wardrobe. So I hope that's something that you will look forward to watching. And then afterwards I will do a video on my makes and a video on the setup of my new sewing room, however that might look. So I just wanted to say another massive big thank you to everybody. I do really appreciate everybody's patience, everybody's kind well wishes and thoughts, and yeah, I hope that everybody is well. I hope that everybody's having lots of sewing time and that you're all feeling good and great. Thanks for sharing today. Thanks for watching. I will catch up with you later. Take care. Bye.